And good evening, night shift on the Monument Fire. This is Adam Colai, Plans Chief with the Alaska team. This is your operational briefing for the night shift for August 18th into August 19th tomorrow morning. Fire size this evening, 128,613 acres. We've got 10% containment. For those of you in a crowd at the briefing area or standing next to your counterparts, please go ahead and mask up in those environments and try to keep your distance as possible. We'll start off with the briefing tonight with the current situation with Operations Karen Scholl.
Thank you. All right, good morning, night shift. Hope you're able to get some sleep. Today, around the fire was relatively quiet. We did have a cap from the smoke from the fires from the north, so fire pretty much behaved fairly well in the north zone. As you know, we zoned this fire out. I'm trying to remember who I'm talking to here. We zoned the fire out, and so we're the north zone. You're in the north zone. We got a south zone going on, and our divisions remained essentially the same. We did add a river group, so the old Echo is really the river group, and then Echo is taking ground on the north side. So let's start around the fire. We'll start down in Zulu. Down there today, they were able to continue holding what they've got from the drop points 30 south. They got some fire line around that spot fire, some Dozer Line around that, and so that's looking good through there. Redding's in there now, trying to finish that off a little bit, and that's west of drop point 36. Dozers, we're pushing across that Pattison Ridge, opening that up and getting that prepped with the intent of continuing down and tying in with CAL FIRE eventually. West of drop point 30, everything remains intact and where it should be along the power intertie. And then moving up into Alpha territory, everything is looking real good. Up near Chaparral Mountain, and then on over into the Underwood Road and the N60 Road. Everything that was lit last night still looks really good. They do have a few spots south of the N60 Road, mostly picked up, but you might want to talk to your counterparts there to figure out what needs to be done, if anything. Moving up through Burnt Ranch, everything's looking good. Through the corridor, we had patrols in through there, and then we also had the river group out in Trinity Village assessing structures and what it's going to take to defend Trinity Village, and then looking further beyond. Up in Echo, fire continues to back down around Ironside Mountain. That's all looking very good. We had inserted some repellers, and they're taking a look on that Big Creek Road where it's mostly holding on that east side. There's a few slops. They're able to get in and work those slops and be able to pick that up. So basically it's holding on the road. And then also taking a look and trying to get equipment into the Big Creek as it goes, the Dozer Line, proposed Dozer Line goes to the northwest and down towards the New River. So a lot of good work and scouting and accomplishments there tonight. Up along the north, not a lot of fire growth, again, due to the cap. And then over in Division Union, along the North Fork, we've got another spot very close to the previous spot that's in there. We're working some crews in there trying to make access, try to use helicopters today, got smoked out. So it's still sitting in there, hasn't moved a whole lot, basically staying pat, but we do have two smokes across the North Fork of the Trinity. And then moving on around, we did lend quite a bit of help to CAL FIRE in the South Zone while they organized their resources and forces and got them out into the fire line. Are expecting to communicate and coordinate with those forces both on the north and the south side. So that'll be on the plate for tonight.
All right, thank you, Karen. I will go ahead and read the updated incident objectives here this evening. I'll start with the number one, and you can review those in your IAP as well with me. Provide for firefighter and public safety by developing and implementing sound strategies and tactics that take into account values, risk, resource availability, and probability of success. Number two, protect businesses, homes, and property in and around the communities of Deloma, Big Bar, Big Flat, Burnt Ranch, Cedar Flat, Helena, Junction City, Douglas City, Weaverville, Hayfork, and Hyam Palm, and elsewhere within the planning area. Take action to reduce the amount of times that residents must remain evacuated from their homes. Number three, protect Highway 299 and Highway 3 corridor infrastructure, PG&E and TPUD electrical infrastructure, communications sites, and other public and private infrastructure within the planning area. Protect Trinity wild and scenic river values, including adronomous fish habitat. Protect private and public timber values, including a progeny plantation south of the fire. Protect cultural and historic values near Hayden Flat Campground, Ironside Lookout, and elsewhere within the planning area. Provide initial attack air support for new starts within the incident TFR. Coordinate response with the local unit. Maintain and enhance relationship with agency partners, cooperators, stakeholders, and the public through timely and accurate information exchange. Ensure long-term strategies are communicated. Coordinate with CAL FIRE to ensure a smooth transition to a two-zone incident management structure. And finally, follow CDC, local, state, and federal COVID-19 mitigation guidance and protocols to reduce exposure and protect firefighters and the public from virus spread. Next, we'll go to weather.
Okay, good evening, Incident Meteorologist Ryan Walbrin. So whether you're in Weaverville or up in Willow Creek, the smoke that you're seeing is predominantly from some of the fires to our north, and as Ops alluded to, that kind of kept a cap on things today. So for tonight, what I think that smoke will kind of settle down over the area. If you're doing any firing operations, humidity recovery, probably about 40% or so down in Division A, and actually higher, 40 to 50% across some of the other divisions. So some moderate humidity recovery. I think the biggest point of emphasis that I'd point out is this weather pattern that we're under. The red flag warning does expire at 8 p.m., so by the time most of you get to the line, that red flag warning will have officially expired. But the winds aloft remain from the northeast, and they are quite strong. Down at the surface, I don't expect you guys to feel too much wind near the surface, but again, I'd emphasize that just aloft, the winds continue to be strong from the northeast. So keep that in mind for spotting distances and any activity that's going on, even in the other zone here, is that we still do have some adverse winds at higher elevations. Thanks.
Brad Washer, one of the ops sections chiefs and also a qualified F-band. As far as for tonight, the sun's going to set at 8:05 and the sun's going to rise, I believe, at 6:28. So between those hours, the fire's going to continue to burn primarily in those heavy fuels. So expect to see fire behavior to continue. Don't see any great rates of spread. Probability of ignition tonight should be down to less than 40%. So not seeing a lot of potential out there tonight. Just do be aware of with that northeast wind and where you have drainages that might line up, like the new river coming into Trinity, the Trinity itself. So be heads up for that. Also be aware, as the evening goes on, some of those low-lying spots will get a little more smoke building up in them, so that could be a concern as far as driving in those areas. Bridge tops, again, as weather said, aren't going to see RHs drop significantly, but or as low as as high as we'd like to see. So could see continued burning along those ridge lines. And that's all I've got for fire behavior.
All right, so for tonight's plan, first of all, you guys are going to take a little bit of time and get reorganized. Some of the ground that you were covering before is now under the south zone. You may be in there again, but take a little bit of time tonight and get organized as far as where you'll be working and who you'll be working for. There's some new faces out there. So, but the primary areas of concern that were pointed out earlier, over west of drop point 36, we'll need a little presence in there. Maybe also some patrol down in the Alpha area along the 60 road, patrol in that area. And then over on the eastern side, Junction City, if we can lend a hand to our neighbors, let's be ready to do that. You'll get your specific briefings from your divisions out there, so look to them, and again, make sure that the accountability piece and the reorganization is, you know who you're working for and where you're going before you head out to the line. Have a safe shift.
Greg Loquist, ComL trainee. A repeater has once again been placed on Ironside Lookout, restoring comms. Those in Division Alpha and Division Echo will no longer have to use the human repeaters. Also, there's an error in the IAP, Incident Radio Communications Plan, ICS 205, Channel 14. There's a typo. Transmitter frequency should be 106.0125. Your radios have the correct frequency. It was just a typo on the IAP. Thank you.
Hello, night shift. Tom Greeling, safety trainee. We want to make sure with the transition that we've had here that everybody understands their work assignment. You know who you're working for. And supervisors, we want to really emphasize full accountability on all your assigned resources, and everybody do a hard plug-in at LCES. Thanks, and have a good shift.
Good evening, Meredith Lund Medical. I want to call your attention to the IAP. On the front cover, you will see some changes as you usually see during a transition to a new team. But the one I want to call your attention to is at the bottom. It's called the COVID hotline. If you'll call that, if you have any symptoms of respiratory, sore throats, anything like that, if you'll call that number before you go to the medical unit, we will arrange to have you tested, whatever we think we need. The medical staff that is in both of the trailers in the camps are highly qualified on making decisions on either COVID or Camp Crud, but I urge you to call this number first and we'll get you the help that you need. On the back side, you will also see the back. It's the same back it's always been. There are no changes there. The good thing about that is it's always there. It's there at every fire. The bad thing about it is as soon as you see it, you go, yeah, I got it. And then you tend to forget about it. What I want to ask you today is, do you really got it? If your buddy's laying underneath a tree, can you give us the information that we need to give you the help that you need so that we can help him as well? Review this. At the end of the day, take the front cover, take the back cover, tear it off, give those to somebody on your crew that does not necessarily get an IAP so they can carry them in their pockets in case the person that needs help is you. Thanks. Stay safe and have a great day.
Tim Derby, Logistics. We're going to continue to build and improve logistics, and specifically at the camps at Willow Creek, we have John Cott, Logistics Chief there. His name is on the IAP map that's inside the cover there. His contact information is there, and then down at Weaverville, we have Alyssa Johnson, and her number is also on the map for Weaverville. Thank you.
All right, Adam Colai again from Plans. I want everyone to take a close look at their IAP this evening for a couple reasons. As has been mentioned by Operations and Safety, new organization, a little bit of restructure out there with the zoning. That'll help you know who you're working for. The reason I'm talking to you about it is I want you to pay attention to this QR code on the front cover. This is a one-stop QR code. It takes you to a directory page. Go ahead and scan it with your phone. It's going to bring up a link. When you get to that directory page, you're going to find instructions and check-in forms. We are using a virtual check-in process. You will not be actually seeing someone in person to complete the check-in process going forward. So if you're new here, go ahead and check in using that. You'll find IAP copies in there, electronic. You'll find maps, electronic, and different folders with maps. You'll also find different forms that might be useful, including CTRs. There's an email for finance in there to email those digital CTRs, once again, virtual. And then finally, you got to get home, and you got to do it through DMOB. You'll find DMOB instructions in there, and you'll also find the DMOB procedure. It's a virtual DMOB process. We do have quite a few folks starting to DMOB this weekend that have been under extensions. So it being Wednesday today, about 3 days out, please, if you're planning on going home this weekend, go ahead and check that out tonight. Appreciate it.
Good evening, Chuck Russell, Deputy IC with the Alaska Incident Management Team. As has been mentioned by operations and others, that we've zoned this fire with CAL FIRE Team 5, and so they've got the south end, we've got the north end. But what we're going to be doing is working hand in hand with them, shoulder to shoulder, and that happened today through today's operational period, and it could happen tonight. We've got priorities that are set for this incident, and they're no different for what they're doing, no different from what we're doing. So wherever that priority is where we're going to put you. You will have leadership that goes with you. You'll have an understanding of what your frequencies are, who you'll be working for, and what the objectives will be to be achieved. If you don't get any of those, as was mentioned, please make sure that you do. The other thing that I'd like to mention is these fires, as you've seen, we're at 10%. We're at, I don't know what day it started, but for sure over 15, 16 days into the incident, and that's as far as we've gotten so far. So high resistance to control. And the work that you're doing in the evening is some of the most effective and important work. That's where we're making the most hay. That's where we're getting the most accomplished. So I want you to know that what you're doing is important, it's needed, and it may be what helps us gain a little bit of ground on these incidents this year. So thank you for your work, and have a good shift.
All right, night shift. That concludes your night shift briefing. If you are an unassigned resource and you don't see yourself in the IAP, go ahead and find one of the branch directors or division supervisors there in your briefing areas. Also, there's likely to be a small briefing for the local area to follow with some more operational direction and possibly some logistics messages. Have a great night.